It's taking a long time.
Welcome to the space where knowledge meets the action. Welcome to the Empowerment Show, where we break down the barriers, helping you grow. Financial literacy, speaking truth to the power. Real conversation, changing lives by the hour. We inspire to change, here we challenge the status quo. Sharing tools for building wealth, watching your seeds grow. Empower you to take control of your future. No more living in the past. We're the authors of the sutra. Get ready, get set, let the movement begin. Because empowerment starts now. Let the light in.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. This is another show. Great show. This is the Empowerment Show, and my name is Kendall Stevenson, and I am the host of the show. As always, we like to start the show off by being grateful for something. I'm going to tell you, I watched those Knicks play last night, man. Whew, I happen to be a Knicks fan. So for all of those Knicks fans out there, we actually made history last night. And no team has ever come back from being 29 points down. And man, that was an incredible game. Other than that, I'm grateful for life, family, and I'm glad to be here in this platform today. Well, I got a guest coming on, and she's been on before, and she is definitely a friend to the show. So without further ado, let me see if she's at the door. Oh, yeah, she's at the door. All right, let me bring her in. Hey, how you doing, Miss Probst? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm running around, but I would never miss your show, so I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. Miss Diane A. Butts, this is usually her time slot, and she said, thank you very much. And she understands that you're a very, very busy woman, and you have a lot of things to do to take care of us politically. So
I love Diane.
thank you.
And Diane, yeah. And Diane and Alfonso are the best. They're just the best people.
She'll be on. She's gonna slide in today around about 7 o'clock. So this way we don't have to worry about missing her show, and her fans, because she has a lot of fans. They won't miss her show today. I had some questions that I wanted to ask you, and I know you're busy, and I don't want to take up all of your time, but we're gonna use this time properly. So I want to talk about minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there such an issue in this state about raising the minimum wage?
So, your guess to this question is as good as mine. I can tell you that since I was elected and I got sworn in January 2023, we have ran the minimum wage bill every single session to raise the wage. Every state around us, it makes more than Pennsylvania. And I think especially, Kendall, in our neck of the woods, my district, the 189th district, I have the longest commutes in the nation. You can look it up because people have to leave this area to put food on the table for their families. And I just find it ridiculous that the Senate won't pass it. We pass it out of the House of Representatives so far, all the sessions. But by raising the wage, you also bring in more tax for revenue for Pennsylvania, because people are making more, obviously they're taxed. And also what it does is it helps people get off some programs that, that might give them a little bump forward. And I don't understand it. And when I hear people say, well, most people already pay $15 an hour. Well, I'm here to say they don't. And if they already do that, then why can't we just make it legal, right? So their arguments never, ever fly with me, because there is no reason that we should be at $7.25 an hour. I mean, I remember when I started working, so bad, you guys, but I lied my age the summer before I turned 13. I turned 13 on August 31st, 1984. I lied my age, said I was 13. I was still 12, wasn't 13 yet. And I cleaned villas for Shawnee. And that summer, I made like $3.50 an hour. That was literally, 52 years ago or 42 years
Wow.
ago. 42 years ago. And, things that were a lot cheaper 42 years ago, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's insane to me. It's really, really insane. But, you know, when it's very hard for me to understand why your guess is as good as mine. West Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, um, Maryland, they all pay more than Pennsylvania.
Hmm. I tell you also there's this June 30th, the budget. This is
Mhm.
is the deadline. So that's going to be
Yeah.
one of the issues in the deadline. Along with that, these AI, these data centers developments. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Are we going to start having or seeing them around here in Monroe County? Or?
I don't think so. Here's the thing with the data centers. There's a couple things. I'm not saying that we don't need some. If anyone in your audience can tell me a, absolutely positively that we need 1,200 of them, I really, really want to know why. Because our phones, our computers, they already have these cooling systems in them. This to me is like the oil and gas industry, the fracking industry. It's a money grab. So all these, Amazon and big conglomerates, private equity that want to put these data centers up, you and I both know that they only put things out like that because there's a dollar to be made. So,
Mm,
so we're offering, just like oil and gas, hey, let's just give away all our natural resources and get nothing in return. And what bothers me the most is all that data is going to be captured. Are they going to sell it? Like, what are they going to do with it? I really just feel that there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, that I've seen where it's like redacted. It's all these little companies, but their parent company is Jeff Bezos. Their parent company is like a
mhm.
gazillionaire or private equity firm. So I don't trust it. However, I want to really say this. We may need them. Technology has just boosted, what it's where we're on it right now. Maybe we
Mm.
do need something more. But if we do need something more, then they cannot be taking our natural resources, because when they're gone forever. They cannot be wreaking havoc on people's livelihoods, homes. And we've all seen the films where the humming noises and the bright lights and the energy grids and the water. It's awful. Now, I do know for a fact with my union brothers and sisters that there are some data centers that are on the smaller side. They have what's called a closed loop system. So you feed them the water one time and it just keeps being reused, right? And there's places like they were saying in Schuylkill County that was like old mining towns that like nobody lives in anymore, where you could put these centers underground because nobody lives there. Being underground keeps it cooler. And, I'm not saying that there's not some places for some, but not 1,200 of them. And it is a money grab. So if you're so concerned and we need these, then make $1 million, not $10 billion, and make sure that you supply your own energy and do not be taking it from us in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you might be asking for a lot there.
well, it means they're not going to do it, because unless they make a gazillion dollars, they're not going to do it. I
Hmm.
do not, in my district in the 189th, there is not one place it could go. The industrial districts are so close to our residential districts. Our water sources, they're either well or they're public. And we have exceptional value water in the Poconos. Only 8% of our creeks and streams are exceptional value, high quality. They just happen to be in the Poconos. So
Hmm.
I'm not willing to let any of that be degraded. So I am a no in my district, and I'm a no in Monroe County because there's no good place for it.
I'm going to tell you, I just remember growing up and when I became an adult, it seemed like pretty much all my information was private, including my phone number. And with today's technology, nothing is private. And
Nothing.
somebody can get they can go down to the tax people or the office, and they can get a copy of my deed to my home.
Well,
And we've
yeah.
had an increase in technology, but that's also been an increase in stealing and robbing.
Well,
and
in
and
fraud.
how about our personal health? How about just our personal health? Do these data centers in some way affect us in our
They do.
health
Well,
wise?
that's what a lot of the issues are. So there's a lot of health consequences, and of course there's a lot of health consequences when your water isn't good anymore, you're not sleeping right. Also, if they're draining the natural resources that the Commonwealth has, so suddenly your drinking water is no longer, exceptional value, things like that. There's many health risks. And you know, people need power. People need air, clean air, healthy water. They need heat in the wintertime. And the more that these places suck the energy out of our grids, the more dangerous it is for the people that live around it. And truth be told, yes, there's a lot of jobs that are created on the build when you do the build. But then when that build is over, they say between 6 and 40 people. That's it in the average size data center. I want my union brothers and sisters to work. I really, really, really do. And I've spoken to some of them, and there are ways that this can be done that is less harmful.
Hmm.
They don't want these in their backyard either. You know what I mean? So the Penn Future and Labor, which is so climate and labor, got together and they did this really terrific model ordinance. It doesn't mean that you can municipalities could have it. They could go more restrictive, they could go less restrictive. But at the basics, this is a good plan when you have labor and climate together that came up with something. So we passed it in the House of Representatives because we're not allowed to deny this, by the way. Municipalities cannot deny data centers because the governor didn't put a moratorium on them or anything like that. They must find a zone that they can quote unquote be in. But what they can do is they can say, okay, well, we have an industrial zone, but you have a 1,400-foot buffer from any residence. You have to come with your own water system. You have to do A, B, C, D, and E, right? So that developer might say, nope, we're not going there. So what happened with these developers are, and there's some bad ones, they came in fast and furious to these little municipalities that didn't have any ordinances because they're small, they weren't prepared, we didn't know, and they got caught in these unfortunate situations, which really make me sad because to me it's theft. It's theft over the municipality. So anyway, we turned in these model ordinances. They passed out of the House of Representatives, and the Senate leader, Joe Pittman, came out and said, we're not running any of your bills. So here we have ordinances that could really help protect communities. And the Senate leadership, it'll be a week tomorrow, it was last Thursday, said that he's not running any of our data center bills.
Here's
So
a question.
they will die in the
Just seems
Senate.
it makes kind of logical sense to me. So if these data centers, if they're worried about the power, why don't they use something like solar and build their own solar fields? And this way they would be independent from the grid and they can supply their own power.
Listen, I bet you they could do that. I bet you they can use wind. I bet you there's a lot of things that they could do. But if it
Hmm.
costs them money, they want to be like the oil and gas industry, like fracking. The other states make literally billions of dollars a year, and Pennsylvania makes between 140 and 240 million a year. Million, where other states are making billions. So we have the best energy, Pennsylvania. We have awesome natural resources. And it's just so sad that, especially when it was the House Republicans, Senate Republicans, and during the gas industry, it was a governor Republican. They just want to give away to big business, and And if you look at the oil and gas industry and you look at, the Senate Republicans, wait do you see how much money goes into their pockets for campaign funds. So it's really gross that people defend these industries because they'd rather have money in their campaign. Like personally, I'd rather lose an election than roll over to that. It's not important to me. I'm not here for my campaign funds. I'm here to try to do the right thing and represent an area that I'm a fifth generation, East Stroudsburg girl. So it's it's funny. I really don't know what to say about it except people either don't care about you or your communities and they care more about their pockets and themselves, or they just don't care at all. They don't want to look into things.
You,
They
you,
don't, you know.
Tara, you really shouldn't talk about Fetterman like that.
Well, he's in our United States.
He's okay. I'll say he's a Dixiecrat to me. Yeah, as far as I'm
He's
concerned.
honestly, I really, I walked and did everything for him for lieutenant governor. I always knocked on doors and things like that. And he's never been the same since his stroke. I don't care what anybody says. He had that stroke, and it's like, I really do think that it messed with him a lot, because he is not the same person, in my opinion.
Well, I tell you, maybe he need to smoke a little bit of cannabis. Speaking about the cannabis, though, there's been a thing now about cannabis where I understand that everybody say yay, 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 and then now when it comes down to it, there's some issues with getting certain policies passed as far as recreational and medical.
Well, once again, our Democratic House of Representatives passed legalizing recreational marijuana, and it's in the Senate. And that may maybe have a chance right now. And I'm going to tell you why. You always hear you look, I have friends on both sides of the aisle, just so you know. I'm not saying this, I'm talking policy. Just because I say Senate Republicans, it doesn't mean that there's not people over there that I don't like or care about. We just have two different policy views. So I look at it like a sports team. I'm a diehard Yankee fan, and one of my best friends loves the Boston Red Sox. I hate the Red Sox, but I love her. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah,
So we
makes sense to me.
battle sports, but I just have to call it like it is, though. But the Republican Senate calls it the gateway drug, and that would be Budweiser, cigarettes. I mean, it's ridiculous. But they always say that we have a spending problem. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at every single state around us, from Ohio to West Virginia to Maryland, New York, and New Jersey, everyone around us has legalized marijuana and recreational use, and they get a tax for it, and they get a big tax. And so it doesn't matter what corner of Pennsylvania you're in, you don't have far to go to get your marijuana. The only
Right.
difference is that state is making money off you, where that money could stay in Pennsylvania. And we're looking at a low estimate of $240 million a year to a high estimate of over $400 million a year. If alcohol is legalized, marijuana should be legalized as well. And we
Exactly.
are really missing the mark. So when the Republicans say we have a spending problem, we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. If we went after that tax and say, hey, let's make it legal, all this tax money comes into Pennsylvania. That's the first one. The second one that we don't do, and I told you about the gas and oil fracking, there's 37 states that drill, for natural gas. And there's only 4 of them that don't charge a severance tax of 2%. So we are only number 2 to Texas. That's it. And Texas has gotten billions every single year. They estimated that Pennsylvania, since the beginning of our no severance tax, we've left over $20 billion on the table. And they estimate on the low end $1.1 billion to $1.6 billion a year on oil and gas. third thing that other states around us do that we don't. We have an EITC tax. Now, there's two different earned income tax, but there's two different ones. There's a corporate level where private people and corporations can give money towards private schools, religious schools, and they get a 90% tax write-off. So you have corporations that can give $1 million, just say to, I'm just going to say, even though I have friends whose kids go to Notre Dame, but say they gave it to Notre Dame $1 million. Well, they're getting a $900,000 write-off. And Pennsylvania last year lost $680 million on this EITC, which really only benefits the very, very wealthy, right? Another tax that we don't take that other states or ones around us do. So remember, we have oil and gas, legalizing marijuana, EITC, and we need a progressive tax. We're only one of 7 states that have a flat tax. And the flat tax only hurts those who don't make it, right? So the studies have been shown, and we have this thing about, when you say tax the billionaires, progressive tax will help the state when you are a corporation and you're not paying your fair share, right? You should be paying your fair share, which also leads to the Delaware loophole, the corporate net income tax. So Pennsylvania, we've been able to lower it. Years ago, it's like 9%. I think we have it down to, I think it's like 6.8 or 7. But we utilize the Delaware loophole, again, like only a few other states in our country, which means that if you are a Walmart and your corporate headquarters are in Delaware, then you're not paying the Pennsylvania corporate net tax. So, right. So we're losing, they estimate there, we're losing like $1.9 billion a year on that. So what we're trying to do is lower that corporate net tax, get the ones that have it that aren't paying us to just pay what your mom and pop shops are paying, right? Our businesses on Main Street are paying that 7%. So should Walmart. So should, the McDonald's and the, Popeyes, whoever they are. So it's only fair. So all of that revenue coming in, other states do. And I don't understand why the Republican Party in the Senate doesn't want to do it. So I always throw this question back to them. What are you going to cut? Are you going to cut senior PTR for their rent rebates? Are you going to cut school funding? Are you going to cut, monies that go down to counties and cut county services? Are you going to cut what are you going to cut? Like, what are you going to cut? Let me know. And that's where we're at with it. They're foolish when they don't take opportunities to get revenue from the wealthiest corporations, out there that just keep taking and taking and taking and no giving to Pennsylvania. So,
I tell you, I wouldn't say there's so much as giving it up. This is what I would say is they may be getting it from another angle. In other words, what they say politically and how they vote, that may be because of what they're receiving on the other end that we don't see. I'm just speculating.
That is what's happening. And listen, everyone who's listening, you can go to anybody's campaign finance report. It's open records. Just look at some of the people that are representing you and where they get their money from. I can tell you mine come from personal donations. Mine comes from public schools. Mine comes from higher education, like the PASHE system, because I support higher education and affordable higher education, like our great chairman of appropriations, Jordan Harris. I love him. He has the PA Promise Bill to make Pennsylvania residents have cheaper, affordable higher education. And it's never going to pass in the Senate. But here's another thing. Things float downhill, right? So
yes, they do.
So this big, beautiful bill in January of 2027, when all this stuff takes place, my 189th district, I have 4,430 children that are going to lose Medicaid. and I have 777 families that are going to lose SNAP benefits. So this big, beautiful bill is going to kill and crush our Commonwealth. So now we even need more money to help make that difference up, to make sure our kids are going to be okay, our seniors and working families are going to be okay. So, this big beautiful bill is horrible, because what people don't realize is that if these 4,430 kids get sick, they're still going to go to the emergency room, and that emergency room must take them. But now that emergency room isn't getting paid by any insurance companies. So now we risk losing the emergency room, which affects all of us, even those with insurance. And also, on top of it, this big, beautiful bill, which is not beautiful at all, cuts guaranteed student loans to $100,000, which means a kid like me wouldn't have been able to go to law school, Kendall. And we need teachers, and we need nurses, and we need doctors. And unless you're filthy rich and your parents can pay your tuition every year, there's not going to be enough for you to finish school. So they're pushing us down and not letting us, quote unquote, pull up our bootstraps and be better, right? They're holding.
I would say it's by design.
It's by design, and it's done by design. It's done by the Trump administration. I've never seen anything like it since the 1920s, when Herbert Hoover was in office, where there was such a separation of wealth that, FDR came in, cleaned it up, got the middle class working, did all these great things. And this Donald Trump, billionaires and billionaires, I mean, his son made $82 billion off of an energy company 2 weeks ago. You don't even hear anybody talking about it. It's bad.
Well, I tell you, Trump is going to look out for us, because he wants us to vape. Have you seen the new commercials? He's got commercials out there that tell you to help you to stop smoking. So he has these little flavored vapes. I always thought that was dangerous flavoring. I always thought vaping was more dangerous than smoking cigarettes. But I tell you what, yeah, I don't mess with it. So listen, when we come back on the other side, because I got to take a quick little break, I want to talk about the immigration policies and how are they affecting us locally. Okay, so we'll be right back in 1 or 2 or 3, 37 seconds.
Okay.
All right. That was the Wolfpack. It's the Wolfpack clothing apparel, sporting apparel for men and for women. So if you like to check them out, they are on Instagram.com. All right. So we're gonna slide on back to Miss Tara Probst, and we're gonna pick up on this where we left off at with the immigration question on immigration.
Sure.
Okay, so we're back. All right, Miss Tara Probst, can you talk to us about what's going on locally with our immigration policies?
I really I can't, and I want to tell you why. We have bills that we passed, in the House. Like, we're always like, we just passed out of committee with Johannes Freitas, a rep that I work with. We just passed Venezuela Independence Day, Colombia Independence Day. You have a caucus that respects every walk of life from every country. And when you look at our caucus, we all look like every country. And that's what makes us a beautiful team. Immigration is a federal issue. It is. And, ICE has been around for a very long time. I mean, we know that one of my favorite presidents, Barack Obama, deported more people than Donald Trump. But the difference with President Obama is he did it the legal way, with due process, with courts, with wasn't in your face with a bunch of bullies, like, treating you like, you're half of a human. So there are federal laws that there's not much I can do about it except for say, stop. Why are you doing this? Why are you harming people? Now, I can tell you that in my district, um, there hasn't been there hasn't been many complaints, meaning I have not had people calling me like, oh my God, ICE is here. I haven't. Um, so I can't speak about that, but I can speak about Renee Good. I can speak about the gentleman, the nurse that was, I'm trying to think of his name, was it Pritzker? Um, the nurse that was killed by ICE
I,
for
I,
just simply Presney. I can't.
Alex, you're
I'm
getting
sorry.
there.
I'm
Petty.
sorry. Thank you, Pretty. I'm sorry. I have a lot on my mind, but I can tell you that there was like, a kangaroo court, right? Like, hey, just get people that were never trained on any human resources, any, police protections, any of your civil rights, and let's just put them out and round people up. And this is what you got. You got people getting killed because they have the wrong people there. It didn't go over well for Trump. And I think that it's really disgusting that they are totally taking out due process, because if we don't have due process and the rule of law, we have nothing. So, yeah, that's all I can say on it. I mean, I
So
can't.
I just want to ask a question just about that, because I think we've had a discussion about this before. A lot of things that are going on right now are circulatory as far as African Americans are concerned,
Mhm.
because the due process, we've had to deal with that in our own communities with not receiving due process. They
Right.
snatch you up, throw you up against the wall, throw you into jail. So what is so different now than it's been for us all these years? Why has it come so much to light now?
Well, it's on, well, just like when George Floyd was on TV, right? Like, or I can go back and say Rodney King. I remember that from the 90s, the early 90s. I was in college. But we see it. And we see everything now. We see the, young black males who get pulled over by the police that aren't treated the same as a young white female. We see all of it now. So it's opened more people's eyes to what really goes on. But what upsets me is I don't think anyone listening to this show, I don't think you, Kendall, I don't think anybody can disagree that we want bad people off the streets. We want
Mhm.
violent criminals off the street. We want rapists and sexual assault. We're going to do these things. We do not want them on the streets. What bothers me is ICE is going after anybody that looks black and then they put them through the ringer to find out that they're a citizen, or they're in the process of going through the courts the correct and proper way to get, their citizenship. And it's like they just don't care. Remember the Turkish girl that had the hijab on, and they snatched
Mhm.
her purse and she was like missing. And then they finally found out what detention center she was in, or snatching parents away from their kids. And these are hardworking, people in the community. Um, we can do better. We are better. We're a nation founded on immigrants. So when someone says, "Yeah, the United States of America," it's like nobody is ethnically from the United States of America unless you are a Native American. And it really just bothers me. Like, yeah, people think that USA is an ethnicity. They don't realize it's your nationality, right? And it's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. I really don't. We're a nation of immigrants. I mean, I did my DNA. I'm 50% Italian, 38% Northern Ireland, and the rest is here and there. So my ancestors weren't born in, I am fifth generation East Stroudsburg, but so what? That's like the 1800s.
Well, I tell you, I get some drawback from people when I tell them that I don't celebrate the 4th of July, and people would say, "Why?" Me personally, I got a little issue with celebrating my ancestors' oppressors
Mhm.
because during that time period, there people that look like me, they kept them in chains, and
Yep.
women didn't have a voice, and neither did the indigenous people that were there. They didn't have a voice either. The only people that had a voice was the rich white
Like
owners, the male
rich
white
white
owners,
males. Yep.
and they still continue to have slaves. So I have a little issue with me saying, "Hey, to the red, white, and blue, and 250 years," because it's not true as far as people that look like me are concerned.
Well,
And as far as
I agree with
we were
you.
talking, you were talking about the people that we want to keep off the streets. Now, I agree with you 100%. But when you look statistics by stats, you'll find that the majority of the people that commit those type of crimes are male whites.
Mhm.
Going into the school, shooting up the school, the rapings, the murders, most of them are committed by male whites, Americans.
January
So
6th, January 6th, they all got pardoned. Like
so why we
that's
not going, well, we're going after these immigrants and most of them have not committed crimes. We found that out. So why we not going after the ones that are actual criminals
well,
that's actually doing the crimes?
that's
Because they
that.
walk.
But see, that is what Barack Obama did. I have no problem with that, Kendall, because whether
Mhm.
you're here legally or not, if you're violating the law, then I have no problem with how Barack Obama handled it. He deported more people than Donald Trump, but he went after the criminals, the bad guys. And even with that, they still had due process in their day in court. Do you know what I mean? Because some people are wrongly charged or accused. So even when we said, hey, we're going to deport you, they still had due process in the courts to try to prove or disprove that they did or didn't do something. And due process is what makes us a democracy. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm not. Now, I will say this. I am a proud American, but you can be a proud American for the fundamental life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, for all these things, right? You can
Mhm.
be a proud American, but you can still not like your leader. So I am a proud American, and feel very fortunate to be born in this country. However, I don't like what's happening to our country right now because of the administration that's running the country. So I'm disappointed in my country. I'm disappointed in my leadership. It's not my leadership, but that they are the leaders. I'm
Mhm.
disappointed that they are actually going backwards um, and not forward. And when I hear people talk about, the Declaration of Independence, and they're like, it is a great document. Like nobody else ever wrote a document like this. Like it's such a great document that's everlasting. We ripped that off of the Iroquois Nation from the late
Mm,
1600s.
mm,
Iroquois Nation, the Native Americans, they got together with four other tribes, or maybe it was five other tribes, and they did like this peaceful, like, we're no longer going to fight. We are going to get along civilized. So if you look that up, the Iroquois Nation, and you read their declaration of their own formation of the independent, but no more fighting, it's
mhm.
basically the same thing that we have. And it's like, I didn't learn that till college. I didn't learn that before. People don't know that. And so there's so much. I mean, I could just keep talking and
Do
talking and
you
talking.
remember a cartoon? It was like when I was a kid. There we used to watch the cartoons, and they had this little cartoon. It was a paper bill, and the bill would show you how it became a law, and
Mhm.
it would go
Oh,
through the steps on how
yeah.
to become a law. Oh, you don't see those that you don't see that anything like that anymore. So they don't the civics. Do they still teach civics in school? And
Well, they do in Stroudsburg.
Mhm.
I can tell you that. My son went through it. But it's so funny that you say that, because that song, I Am a Bill, Yes, I'm Only a Bill,
Yeah.
and I'm Sitting on Capitol Hill, the writer of that song is from Delaware Water Gap. Did you know that?
Oh, how about that? No, I
And
didn't know
his
that.
family still lives here. But that was a really good and something else that's funny about it is Chair Bizarro. I'm just telling you a funny story. Chair
Right,
Bizarro,
right.
who was our policy chair, he's got a big picture on his wall and it says it's the picture of the bill sad sitting on Capitol Hill. And it said, no song is gonna change this shit. like like we're so gridlocked, you know what I mean? Like, oh
I
funny.
got one more. I got one more. I want to hit at you, and this is digital advertising.
Mhm.
Apparently, there's property taxes. They want to tax the digital advertising people so that we can get the seniors
Yep.
can receive some sort of rebate. How does that
Yep.
work?
It's awesome. Rep Liz Fiedler, out of Philadelphia. She's amazing. Um, so when you see these digital ads all the time, and they're popping up and they're popping up on your computer and they're popping up on your phone, and people are making money from you, they're not paying any tax on that.
Wow.
So we want to capture the tax because they're making a gazillion dollars. And once again, we get nothing, right? And we want to put it to 65 and older seniors for rebates for property taxes. What do you think?
I still see you. How are you?
Oh, yeah.
I think anything that's going to give me a rebate or some sort of relief on my property tax. I wish we could actually do away with the property tax because as long as I'm paying it, I don't truly own my property. I'm still the government can take it, put a lien on it. If I don't pay the taxes, so they should do away with the property tax at some point. But I'll take
Well,
what I can get. But
but
I think seniors, once you reach a certain age, I'm not working anymore. How much more do they want me to contribute to society? It's like when do we get a break? You got the younger people coming up now. Let them take care of that stuff like we had to take care of it.
listen, let me say a couple things about that, Kendall. I want to say that I agree with you on some things. And this is where my debate comes in. My nanny made under $700 in her Social Security check every month. My mom was at $890. She was a waitress her whole life, right? You seniors can't live. It's not fair. I completely agree with you 100%. I think once you retire and you get to be a senior citizen, even if your taxes were reduced or frozen so they never go up again, we need to do something. I'm not okay. Now, I can say with my mom, people paid for 4 of her kids to go to school taxes. The problem is, and by the way, these young people right now, people are living longer, are paying for Social Security that they may never see.
Mm,
So it's a social kind of net. I never mind paying for. I could die tomorrow, and all my years of working, other people are going to benefit from my Social Security, and I'm happy to have that happen. I'm proud to have that happen. So kids today do not have the opportunities that I had. I had affordable education for my undergrad. I had a great job market. I had affordable housing, attainable housing. There wasn't Airbnbs and private equity buying up all of our houses. I had a shot. The job market was just big and expanding. With AI, with the price of college, with all these things happening, you know, people aren't buying their first house till they're 40. And it's a very difficult time to be young. So I feel bad for them. I feel bad that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, let our school districts down for 25 years under Republican leadership. And that is why your school taxes are so high. But they're also so high because when George W. Bush came into office and deregulated banks, giving mortgages to people that could have never afforded the homes that they got ever to be built. But because they were
mm.
statement loans, there was a housing boom. And then when it crashed and people came in and bought it back up, you had your school.
All right, you're doing a little freezing thing, but I think she's talking about while your school taxes and your property taxes have gone up because of what the Republicans have done. Okay, I'll see if she comes back up. I'll give her a minute or two. But just in between time, in the meantime, please don't forget to tune in at 7 o'clock when Daughters of the Divine Joy, and that will be with Miss Diane A. Butts. And she has a wonderful show. You can also check us out. We do have a web page, and that would be the PAEmpowermentNetwork.com. Okay? All right, then. Yeah, I think she's frozen. And I want to thank Tara for coming on. She is a friend of the show, and I always appreciate her coming on. Okay, she always has very important things to say. So here you are, Tara. And thank you again for coming on. My name is Kendall Stevenson, and this has been the Empowerment Show. Hopefully, we've enlightened you and we've empowered you just a little bit. Okay, all right then. So, as my friend always says, be yourself, because
Welcome to the Empowerment Show, when knowledge meets action. Yeah. We break down barriers to financial literacy. Speak truth to power, real conversations. Oh, voices that inspire change, challenging the status quo. Tools for building wealth, taking control. Your future starts right now. This is the Empowerment Show.